All right, everyone. Good morning. I am Makeba, Atlanta-based agent, well, Georgia, but most of my business is here in Metro Atlanta. Global real estate professionals, as we all are, with the fact that we are empowered to refer business to all 50 states, because I'm actually not going to Valdosta, although I'm licensed in Georgia. I'm not taking that trip. So just embracing the power that we're global agents, that we choose to find the business that is going to make sense and feel good for the model that we're creating. It is okay to test something out, to dig in fully and make your decision afterwards, whether you're making an adjustments to it or entirely remove it to try something different. And express offers is an opportunity to open the door for people who have raised their hands and said, interested in selling my property. We have Terrance Clark from Express Offers on the stage, who graces us on Tuesdays from 8:30 to 8:50-ish, depending on where else in the virtual world or the real world that he needs to teleport to after us. Thank you, Terrance, for showing up like you always do, for being a resource for us here at EXP, and we value your time. The stage is yours.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you again, Makeba, for holding the space. I've just been reflecting recently just on um, taking and doing the work. I think that's every time I like sit back and try to figure out like what's happening in the market, why it's happening in the market. It ultimately, I can't help but always have this thought that it's because there's only a certain amount of people who are here that are actually doing the work. I think we need a lot more people doing the work to educate the consumer so that they can make informed decisions. I just see a lot of people kind of making decisions based off of the feels, as I like to call it, based off of what they feel, not actually what is. So I want to just take a second to applaud you all for waking up and joining us today, deciding that you're going to actually work on you and your business so that you can implement and execute. I think, those are the things that are going to really help the market to move. So giving you all a big round of applause for showing up this morning. I wanted to see um, who do we have here today that wants to practice something? Who are you calling? And how can we practice that? Whether I'm the agent and you're the seller, if you want to throw out some of the objections that you've heard, or you want to take the leap and practice being the agent. I can promise you'll get more out of being the agent than you will being the seller, but I know it's also it can be a little awkward if you're not like a regular role player. So go ahead, Manuel.
Good morning, people. Good morning, team.
Good
I
morning.
have a question. Mostly, I have a question. I do have express offer certification already. So the question is, what is the target when you are looking for people to call for express offer? And I want to make sure that I'm on the right track because I want to try to bring business from that source. When I see a for sale by or if when I see a for sale from another agent, that the house seems to be distressed, like a bad listing, I will say, I make the picture of the sign and I say, and I put it on my notes, this could be express offer, uh, a target. Because the idea is to see it is a bad sale, it is a difficult to sell because the house needs repair. So I will call that agent to see if they want to have an offer from our investor. Is that the right strategy, or do we have another list of people to call to present express offer?
That wouldn't be a good strategy for express offers today because in express offers, you only represent the seller. So, because there's another agent that's representing the seller, you don't have a relationship that can allow you to get paid in express offers. Express offers, again, only represents the seller today.
But I think it is a house that is being, maybe I have to retake the class. It's the house that is being sold by another agent and they can receive an offer from express offer in cash. And the agent that is representing the seller already will get a commission the same way they agree with the seller. So,
You can't represent the seller. You don't have a path to present. You don't have a path of representation in express offers. So you have to represent the seller. If you're not the agent representing the seller, it's not a good submission for express offers.
okay.
But idea wise, what I would say is if you're on this track, right? So maybe you're using data, maybe you're using some type of platform to be able to locate these listings. I would create a track to where those get in my pipeline for follow-up, things that I'm checking on a weekly basis.
Hmm.
Is this listing still available? Did it come off market? If it did come off market, what is my strategy now? Am I going to reach out directly to seller? Am I going to go knock on the door of the seller? Those are good for, again, building your pipeline. But if you really, for express offers, need to be thinking about representing the seller. So if there's another agent involved, today is not a great opportunity for express offers.
So the program changed because what I understood
It
when I
did.
took the
It
class
did.
is that the listing has to be under another agency in order to be off presented on the platform.
It doesn't need to be presented from another agency. What changed about the program was we used to represent the buyers in a dual agent capacity. We no longer
Hmm.
do that. We only represent the sellers.
Okay, okay. So I have to refresh
Good morning.
the
Good morning.
I have to refresh that.
Yeah. Is
I,
there anybody who wants to practice a call? Because that likely in this realm is going to turn into an expired or withdrawn listing. And the reason why I say that is because most 9 times out of 10, an agent is not going to price that house effectively for it to get sold. They are going to overprice the house mainly because that's what the seller is telling them to do. I'm not saying that the agents are not are unknowing of how to price a house that's distressed, but most times they're going to overprice the house. Investors not going to look at the house on the MLS. The traditional buyers are not of the mindset to say, "Hey, yeah, okay, it needs TLC. I'll make an offer based off of the risk involved," right? A traditional buyer who sees that house is really just going to say, "Nope, not for me," and move on to the next. So those should be good, again, expired or withdrawn listing conversations. Anybody have something they want to practice or they want to hear? I know I can get McCabe definitely to be a seller, so that's not an issue. But if you have something you want to hear, throw it in the chat or on mic, and we'll practice it really quickly.
this is a safe space, everyone.
I was trying to be shy, but I guess I won't be. I'm okay with role playing any scenario. I would say for me, my business is very listing centric. So I am my target audience is sellers. And so the calls that I will be making daily are expires and FISBOs. So I'm okay with practicing whatever scenario.
And when you say practice, are you going to be the agent or the seller?
You tell me. I'm game. Let's play.
How's your express offers game? Are you good with presenting that to uh
I am not. I've not completed my certification yet. It's on my calendar for next week. I literally just joined EXP about a month ago. So I'm in the
okay.
fire hose segment of life.
Yeah.
And so I literally have it on my calendar to complete next week. I wanted to, I'm in fast cap also. So next week is the last week of fast cap. I wanted to kind of take in all that water first and then and then implement from there. So
Okay. So one last question before I
sure.
play with you. Um, is the expired something that you're already doing? Is that already aligned with the
Yes,
business? Okay, so let me try to be the agent, and what I want you to be thinking about is would this work? Would this pathway work or make it easier for you to get more listing appointments? Is that fair?
that is fair. Let's go.
Okay. Ring ring. Oh no, wait, wait.
Hello,
Sorry, one more thing. How do you pronounce your first name? Deidre?
Deidre.
Okay, cool. I thought so. Just wanted to clarify. All right,
Yay, thank you. Hello.
hey, Deidre, this is Terrance from eXp Realty. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, just trying to stay dry. This weather looks like it's gonna be nasty today.
Yeah, it does.
Hey, listen, I wanted to give you a quick call. I noticed that you had 123 Main Street come off the market. Looks like it was unsold, but I did want to verify. Is it still available or did you get that one sold?
It's still available currently.
Okay, and you're aware obviously that it came off the market?
Oh, no, I wasn't aware that it came off the market. When did it come off the market?
I'm showing that it came off the market 2 days ago, but I was just again giving you a call to check and see if it was still available or if anything had changed.
No, I still am looking to sell it actually.
Okay, okay. Well, I actually found your house by a search that I set up for a network of buyers who I'm working with who have identified the area around 123 Main as a point of interest. Based off of your spec of home, it is something that they could potentially be interested in. And so again, I'm just curious if if I was able to bring you an offer that could close in, I don't know, 15 to 21 days, would that pose a problem for you or?
21 days? No, but I don't want to accept a lowball offer. Like I'm not interested in giving my house away.
Sure, and what makes you think that you would be doing that? Just curious.
Well, I've heard, so many times about, basically investors coming in and basically just taking your house for little to nothing. So I don't want to give it away. I still want to make profit.
Gotcha, gotcha. It sounds to me like you have heard about those either fix and flip investors or the wholesalers that really come in and try to purchase houses for pennies on the dollar with the intention of, trying to add some value and then reselling the house. Am I hearing that correctly?
That is correct. That's exactly what my experience has been.
Okay, and I'm assuming just looking at some of these pictures, your house is in pretty good condition.
It is. I've kept excellent maintenance and I have records of everything.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so I do work with investors, but I work with investors that also have different strategies. So not all of the investors I work with are those fix and flip investors. I do have some who are buy and hold investors, which just means they make their money a little bit differently than what a fix and flip investor would. They make their money on what's called yield. And so that's just a month to month cash flow. And so because of that, they're actually looking at your house and valuing it a lot differently than what a fix and flip investor would. And usually that means that they can pay a lot closer to retail. If I was able to get you an offer from one of those type of investors, is it something that you think you would consider or?
I would absolutely consider that.
Okay. Well, I think the next logical step would just be for me to come out and take a look at the house. This network of buyers, they really tasked me with doing some of the legwork to make sure that it is something that is viable for their strategy. I'm actually going to be in the neighborhood t tomorrow, the 11th between 4 and 6, and then again on the 12th between 5 and 7. Which one of those days works best for you?
Probably the 12th.
The 12th between 5 and 7. And what time can we narrow
Probably
that?
6:30 would probably be the best time. That's what time I get home.
Okay, 6:30. Do you need maybe like 15 minutes just to kind of get yourself settled, or can I meet you there at
That
6:30?
that would be great because you know how we like to go to the restroom as soon as we get
For
home. Yeah,
sure, for
that'd be
sure. It's
awesome.
been a long day, right? Okay, so I'll meet you on the 12th at 6:45. And I'm gonna go ahead and send you some information about me, my team, and what it is that we do, just so you know who you're meeting with and you're prepared. Is Deidre123 at KV Core the right email for you?
It is.
Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and send that over with a calendar invite. And Deidre, if anything changes between now and the 12th, will you just reach out to me via email or via text, just so then we can reschedule?
Sure, I can do that. I can
Okay,
do
I
that.
look forward to seeing you on the 12th.
I look forward to meeting you as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
That was good.
Yeah,
That was
good job for both of you. I have a question for you, Clark.
sure.
So, if we are not calling the agents that was listing a house that is, like that need a flip and the investment, we need to buy the data then. We need to buy the data for expire, or where do we get those prospects?
Those you can probably get those out of the MLS. I do use a platform for most of my real estate data, but I imagine that the properties at least are in your MLS. And then for like homeowner data, if I'm not pulling thousands of data at once, I usually will use True People Search for one-off like skip traces where I just need to try to match up the person on the deed and then the number and address that they are connecting with on True People Search. And
Okay.
after I get that number, you do want to check, make sure it's not on the do not call
C.A.R.C.
list.
Okay. But it's easier than if we buy the data, if we buy expired from the lead provider.
Yeah, yep. But I think that's a good opportunity if you're using like one of the dialers, Vulcan
Mhm.
7,
Vulcan 7.
FedEx, or something like that.
Okay. How long would you give an expired to call them? Because I have a list of expired that I bought a few months ago. I will say a year ago. And I didn't go through the entire list because calling expired is a job, you need a talent. So would you call expired that expired 6 months ago, or that would be out of the picture already?
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
your line of questioning may be a little different, right? It may be have things changed? What has changed? Would you still consider, it's some of those things where you're trying to see where they're at now and if they still have motivation to sell. I think obviously the cream of the crop is going to be the houses that expired yesterday, right? But understand with those ones, you've probably got 10, 12, 15, 20 agents calling them. And so I think
Mhm.
when you think about that specifically, is why I believe cash offers and as is offers are so powerful because I think it's something that is going to be different. It's going to stand out in the market. I highly doubt that the majority of the agents that are calling with the intention or have the offers in hand that they can bring to those sellers. So, yeah, pick your poison, but both of them are work.
Okay.
Deidre, as far as our role play, is that something based off your experience with expireds and those withdrawn listings? Is that something you see as that could be a viable strategy for you?
Oh, absolutely. I love the verbiage. I actually took some notes here. So yeah, I like the way that it was phrased, especially differentiating between the different investors. So that is absolutely something that I can add to script because that is one of the main main objections that I receive is people not wanting to sell to an investor because they feel that they will be undercut in their profits. So being able to talk through the different types of differentiating between the investors and having that language, I think that was a good value add for me. So thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that helped. Definitely something I experienced as well in terms of the seller pushback is the low ball offer, so on and so forth. And I want to tell like the agents on the call, one, I as an investor, I never even describe offers as low ball offers. It's like something that is completely out of my mind, just because I do have that understanding of the model and what they're trying to achieve. So I think when we do, have that understanding, it's easier for us to explain it to the seller so they could say right away, no, that doesn't fit my house, right? My house is in good shape. I don't need a fix and flip investor to buy it for pennies on the dollars. I need someone who's either going to live here or, market it to somebody who's going to live here so that they see it the top value. So I imagine you have that understanding, but if anybody on this call or watching the replay doesn't, that's something you definitely want to dive into. Any other role plays? I know it is 8:50 and I do need the time today, but I can squeeze in one more if there's something that you want to role play or practice.
I'd love to role play just actual listing setting appointment, not necessarily. I mean, express offers can be part of that because as we see, we have to set the appointment to actually go see the property to ensure that it meets whatever qualifications for whomever the buyer is going to be. And I don't have to facilitate it, but I would love to if we could.
And based off of the conversation that we just had with the expireds, how do you see the listing appointment going? Is that something you're going to do at that first appointment, or what do you have in your mind?
Say that question one more time.
How
My
do you,
intention is to seal that appointment at first conversation to make that listing appointment.
so you're, so, okay, so let's say we get the appointment. Is
Mhm.
it your intention on that appointment to do a listing presentation while you're there?
Yes.
So I would just say, as someone who is in this niche, I wouldn't advise on that
Ah,
because you're calling and you're telling them, hey, I may potentially have an offer for you. And if I tell them that and then I go out and have an appointment and then I make my appointment about a listing, it's going to come off as a bait and switch.
understood.
Yeah,
But
I suppose the idea is just to go and see that person face to face, shake their hands, give them, a feeling of who you are, and then walk around the house just for you to, as you said, the excuse was that you were going to check how the house actually is in order
mhm.
to have an idea if that could be an option for the investors for your market. So I think that is important when you go and see them and then you give them your feeling, you give them your vibe, then they will know if they will move forward with you because if you bring the listing agreement that day, like I don't know, I don't think they will do anything anyway. They won't sign anything.
Yeah, I think it definitely, again, speaking at scale, not, each individual seller is going to be different. You may walk into the appointment, you and the seller click right away, and they've decided at that appointment, you're the person who they want to work with. So I wouldn't advise not to bring your paperwork, right? If you get that feeling, you want to lock it in. But as far as like overall system, I think it's very important on that first meeting to go out and do and perform on what it is that we said we were there for. So let's find out what the condition of the house is. Let's see if we can build a little bit more rapport with the seller. Let's find out what their motivation is. And then we want to set a expectation that there's a follow-up appointment to this. So, hey, Mr. Seller, thank you for showing me your house. Have all the details that I need. Let's set up maybe to meet up in 48 hours. I'll have some feedback for you to go over. And then that second appointment is where I'd say is the bread and butter for the listing appointment because I'm going to present the cash offer, the as is offer, use a net sheet. But right after that, when after I'm done with that, I'm going to sit there in silence. I know it's super awkward. And then I'm gonna wait for their response. Most of the times, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say that is way too low. I can't accept offer like that. And you know what? I totally get it, Mr. Seller. These properties or these offers are coming from investors who are looking to profit from your home. Likely, you would see highest and best, top dollar offers from someone who's actually going to live in the property. Here's my listing plan and strategy of how we can put this home in front of the people who would actually live here, and then go into kind of your listing appointment to lock down the business.
Yeah, because Terrance is sharing 48 hours, but after you are in the home and you get the seller opt-in form signed, the first right of refusal that we have with our partner in place is instantaneous based on the information that you share. So within that other time span that you have, that's when you are preparing for your next step. As you have gone and you've built rapport, you continue to communicate with the seller, checking in with them, asking them, of course, if it's a for sale by owner, how did the open house go? Or, typically they may have shared something with you. We have an offer coming in, I'm waiting for, so you're continuing to build the anticipation of whenever this 48-hour window is going to be so you can present what your next step is.
So I understood, Clark, that you said that if you will go back with an offer, and if they say that it's too low, it looks like an investment, a flip and flop, then you will turn the listing into a regular listing appointment. Like I can list it for you to the regular market.
Yep, we want to use C.A.R.C in that example, right? C.A.R.C is just the objection handling framework. We want to clarify, then we want to acknowledge, then we want to respond, then we want to close. So if they say it's too low, you know, try to ask some questions about why they feel it's too low. You know, is this, if you accept this offer, is this preventing you from getting from A to B? Right? We want to understand why do they feel the way that they feel? Then we need to acknowledge that, yeah, okay, yeah, it potentially is too low. This is coming from an investor who wants to make profit. So that may not be the scenario for you, especially if you do not need the speed, the convenience, and the control of an as-is sale. If there was a way for me to help you get your house put in front of the buyers who would likely see the most value in your home and be willing to live in it, is that something you would consider? All right, we're just going down the line of questioning. We want to make sure that our solution is aligned with their goals and their motivation, but we're using the as is offer just as a way to get in the door, just as a way to start a conversation. And that's really, yes, as express offers manager, I want to see as many properties close within the platform as possible. I would love that. But for you and your business, it has to be about conversion. And your conversion, one of your most important KPIs is going to be how many conversations can you have? How many appointments can you have? Right? And then converting those appointments to either transactions via cash offers or listings. But I think also another thing about the cash offer is that allows your seller to get real about pricing kind of early on. You're allowed to say, hey, this came from an investor, but looking at your house after have been through it, right? You now have seen the house, touched, see, felt, smelt the house. You can make real feedback, right? Give them real insight to what they need to do in order to come on the market. And I know one of my favorite people is on the call. Ashley probably has some good experience with kind of walking through the steps, right? From the point of presenting an as is offer as potential solution to then converting to a traditional listing. So I do have to jump, but that may be something that we can get her to talk about in the next couple of weeks if she lets me put the pressure on her.
And Terrance, I hear you say that you have to go to your next space in virtual world or reality. Can you let everybody know how they can connect with you in the future?
So great. I always forget to do that. Thank you. Today at 11 a.m., we will mastermind for express offers, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard. That event can be found in the express offers workplace group. Makeba, I'm sure we'll also post the link as you guys end Smile Dial. And then tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard, we will have another role play session. So come out and practice your role play. I don't know. I didn't put it in this chat. But we do have a script book for anybody who wants to look at the scripts that we use in the express offers. One of the scripts that I used going over expires with Deidre earlier. But get that script booked and practice. If you're not practicing in this setting with among your peers, then practice with your family. They don't know any better. They don't know when you mess up. I know sometimes role playing with agents, it's like, oh, did I mess up? There's a lot of pressure because you think that the agents are like judging you for messing up. But I promise you, in these spaces, it's all about collaboration. It's about like team growth. We just want to see everybody, get better and have the type of business that you want. So you don't have to be nervous to role play either here or tomorrow again in our role play at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard.
All right. Thank you again, Terrance. We will see you at 11 o'clock. I will share that link inside of our chat. The thing with working from home, of course, is those things that distract us or can be distraction. While you're at home working, we're washing clothes. If you have children, it's summertime, so you're keeping them occupied. So making sure that we're doing the most important part, which is showing up. That is the S part of the acronym that I have with Smile Dial, SMILE. So showing up can be whatever time that you're carving out on your calendar. We know how important it is to pick up the heavy phone and make the phone calls, to not be the silent agent. as we're building, nourishing our businesses. So whether you're doing it in the morning or in the evening time, the most important piece is that you have made time for it. And this showing up piece is most important, at that time blocking, that bouldering. So, if there are distractions or things that happen, you just make sure that you fit it in somewhere else. And so the time that we have here together, there are several ways. Many of us work in and on our business. It's just determined by what it is that we need in that moment. We're here to be a space of support where you can see other people doing similar things as you. And this is a place that we are soundboards for our businesses as well. The M in the acronym is to make the connection with the people. So whether you're looking at them on Facebook, or if you know them from an event that you went to, or you're following up, you're inviting them to something. Another acronym in the make a connection piece is FORD, or frog, or form. So we have family, occupation, recreation, dreams, and goals. And typically how conversations go: when you ask someone about their family, they ask you. When you ask someone about their vacation, they ask you. So you ask someone about their job, they're asking you. We want to have them do more talking than we do, which means that we're asking questions that are open-ended, not just ones where they're going to answer yes or no. We are definitely taking notes for the next time that we have the conversation with them. Or again, if you're looking at them on social media, depending on how connected you are with them, congratulations. I see your son, daughter won the swim meet. What's the next steps? What are you doing for summer? These conversations are to be authentic, of course. That everybody knows a real estate agent, their cousin, their sister, their neighbor, their friend. We want to be the one that they think of to be our raving fans for when it's time for them to do some real estating, or they know someone who is going to do some. The I in the acronym is to be intentional. So, we're here together 2.5 hours. All of that time is not going to be working. Some of it is for us to be preparing and utilizing the fact that you have other people in the room that does what it is that you do, and you might want to get their view on something that you are handling at the current time. But we're intentional in the fact that I'm going to call expired. So to keep my mind focused on those expired listings that I'm calling, I have my script in my head ready to go. I am inviting people to an open house this weekend. So I have my script in my head ready to go. So we're intentional and not just jumping all over the place, because that makes it a little more difficult for us to get our goal accomplished. The L is to leave a message. So I don't typically leave a message for strangers. I do leave a message for my people, my sphere. And I focus on my sphere with something I call the sphere of success. There are 26 letters in the alphabet. They've been grouped up into 13 groups. So the letter this week is L and N. So people with the first letters of their last name that are L and N. I go into whatever platform that I have my contacts in. The groups are on my cell phone, 26 different groups. I would pull up the L group or the N group. The space that I really go is my CRM. So I use a hashtag to segment those out, and I will find the people who, as I've added them to my database, I also add that hashtag if they're a buyer, a seller, or investor, and they also get a hashtag for the first letter of their last name. If I do that consistently, then my people will hear my voice once a quarter, because these letters are grouped. And if I'm intentional and I know I'm having to sit down and make phone calls once a week, why not call the people in my phone versus only calling strangers? And the E is to make sure that I'm engaging. Oftentimes I'll send somebody a text message and maybe look at it and mean to respond and don't respond until later. So we want the people that we're reaching out to know, that we're truly caring about the question that I just asked you about a vacation, or asked you about the surgery your dog had and you responded and I didn't respond for a week. So we don't want to be guilty of that. My goal this morning is to reach out to my sphere, those people who the first letter of their last names are for me to call this week. And then the second half, I have some people on my board who I need to follow up with them as well to let them know I am still on the hunt for what it is that they told me that they were looking for. I was reading a book yesterday. Um, It is The Miracle Morning, a new version that Hal Elrod put together. And on page 34, solution 1, embrace your limitless potential. What I'm capable of is based on my potential, not my past. And a lot of us allow that voice in our head that's honestly here to protect us from what we feel like harmed us before. So knowing that we can control that thought by pushing past it. Once you realize I just went backwards, that moment you realize that, come back to the present and continue to move forward. Does anybody want to share any goals that they have set? And thank you. I see people pop in periodically, familiar faces, new faces, and I appreciate you for using this as a space because a lot of us aren't anywhere near each other. And I just want to thank you for sure for coming and spending that time here. But does anybody have any goals that they would like to share or let us know about any wins that they have had?
Well, I do have a win partially. Like I remember that I told you about my buyer and the program, the revenues program.
Yes.
It happened that the buyer decided to go cash.
Okay.
So I'm saving the commission that I have to go back to the lender because there is not a lender now. So I will have a little more money on the closing. It has been a learning experience, but I'm still taking people from revenues, even if it is only almost a 30%, a 70-30 cut. What I decided to do when I meet with the revenue referral is to start negotiating on a 3.5%. So it will be a little higher. And then explain them that most of the time the seller is going to compensate me at 2% or something. So they won't be that high. And besides that, they will receive money back at the end of the transaction. So at the end, the commission they will be paying me is going to be maybe 2.5 anyway, because people from revenues told me that even if they don't have a lender, they get a reward from us. So I'm going that way. I have 2 or 3 that are good prospects, and I have to call like 5 of them that I have to update, get in touch with them in order to update the status on the platform. And besides that, I have a buyer that is turning into a renter. So I need to call her and tell her about some research that I did for the property she sent me. So let's see if we can get those through in the next 2 hours.
That's a great strategy for you to make the adjustment with what you're able to do with revenues being your referral partner. Of course, after you cap that percentage that you would be paying EXP, that 20% will increase and you'll be able to keep it in your pocket. So it won't be 70-30 anymore. It'll be more like 50-50. But I definitely see your strategy in increasing what your professional fee is going to be. And that's just a prime example, everybody, of the fact that everything is negotiable in what it is that we do. Emmanuel, I don't know if you have the opportunity for lease purchase where you are, but the lease purchase company would be your clients. They would still pay your commission, and your renter is kind of your customer, if that's the better verbiage. So your relationship and the information that you're sharing with your client, who is the lease purchase company, you don't share with the person who's actually going to be renting or leasing and living in the property until they do or don't decide to buy the home. But that's also a resource if that's available to you up north.
I'm going to check that out too.
Anybody else? All right, well, let's go ahead and dig in as it gets close to the top of the hour. Go ahead and finish up your phone call so we can share your wins, discuss your goals and whether you accomplish them or not. Get a stretch in, refresh your coffee, your tea, and then plug back in for that last hour. So stay in the room, mute yourself, and let's go ahead and get to work. All right, everybody, it is the top of the hour. If you are still talking, please mute yourself. Does anybody have any wins that they want to share? I have just been using KV Core and calling from that space so I can take notes and put people on alerts. A lot of people aren't on them. I think I am going to change to Chime. I don't know when that's going to happen, so I don't want to put things on hold for the communication that I'm having with the people who are currently in my database. So I'm not making any excuses and creating those extra clicks to make sure that people are being communicated with right now at this moment in time. And again, I was reaching out to people who the first letter of their last name are N and L. There's not that many of those, probably 80 or less. So I definitely should be able to crush that in today if I take the time to do it today, but definitely this week. That's an easy one. Some of the groups have like 200 or 300 people in them, and the point of reaching out to them is to see where they are, if they're a raving fan, if they're VIP, or someone who I don't really actually know. Am I reconnecting or have ever spoken to them? So my objective also is to clean my database. I do have a lot of people in there, but that doesn't mean that they are my people. So I'm trying to figure out who those people are. Anybody want to unmute and share?
Sure. Okay. I was doing more or less the same. As I told you, getting in touch with my people from revenues to see if they are or they are not. Because what I'm trying to do also is to remove them from my pendings because they are asking for an update every week. So if they are not really ready, if they are not doing the paperwork from the loan, and just put it inactive and, not forget about them because they are already on the MLS, but at least to put an alert to call them in 3 or 4 months. And then if I get them like cleaning my list, I can focus on getting new leads or focusing on the one that are actually prospect, like moving into closing, looking for the money or whatever. So I was able to talk about to reach 7 clients in between Up City and revenues. And 2 of them I have been calling for almost 2 months, every week or every 2 weeks. And finally they answered, and they are still on the market for a property. And also removing people, as I said, removing people from the list if they are not ready to buy, if they are not ready to move with the loan.
Perfect. Good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, for sure taking the time to clean out your database so you can plug in effectively and maximize the time that you have when, we're making time to build our business. So thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.